My most memorable Valentine's Day occurred when I was in the 5th grade. I had a crush on Timmy and he had a crush on me. He wanted to give me a gift for Valentine's Day, and he told me he had saved up his money and had bought me something special. I was quite excited. He and his parents on Saturday morning, we awoke to near whiteout conditions. A blizzard had blown in overnight and the roads were covered with snow. My parents tried to prepare me for the distinct possibility that Timmy would not be able to make it over to my house that day. I refused to believe them and set about making chocolate chip cookies for my guest. I had planned on serving fresh chocolate chip cookies and hot cocoa, and I continued with my plans, never doubting that Timmy would show up. Timmy called around noon to say that he and his father would be leaving soon to make the trip to my house, but they didn't know when they would arrive. The roads were bad, and they had to come all the way across town and up a very steep, windy hill to get to my house. I told him not to hurry, to drive safely, that we would be waiting. My parents couldn't quite believe that Timmy's father was actually going to try to come to my house. I begged my father to plow our long driveway so that Timmy's father wouldn't get stuck in the driveway, and my father agreed. About an hour later, Timmy and his father pulled into our driveway. Timmy had a heart-shaped box of candy for me and a card. The candy had a pillow top with a flower on it. It was beautiful. I was absolutely thrilled. I felt like such a grown-up to be receiving such a sweet gift from a boy. Timmy and I went into the den with our chocolate chip cookies and cocoa and chocolates, and my brother and sister for chaperones, and Timmy's father sat with my parents in the kitchen and had coffee with his chocolate chip cookies. He gave me the most wonderful memory of a fabulous Valentine's Day and of young love. That was the one Valentine's Day that I will never forget. Timmy grew up to be an assistant district attorney in Oneida County, New York, where he prosecuted those who abused and neglected children. He was married nearly 40 years and had 10 children. He passed away last year from heart disease and was greatly missed and much loved by everyone who knew him. Sliding into our number 2 spot is a flashback to high school hallways and secret crushes. My partner was my high school sweetheart, and I remember, clear as day, the first time he asked me to be his Valentine because he, very romantically, texted me the question on my flip phone while we were in the same classroom. Gotta love high school. Let's turn the pages of romance. My husband and I were both students at Seattle University and had met the first day of class's freshman year. We had a tiny apartment on Capitol Hill close to campus, an old car, and not a whole lot of money. On our first Valentine's Day, my husband was late coming home from his part-time job. I wasn't worried. It was just a little unusual. Eventually, there was a timid knock on our front door. I opened it, and there stood my handsome husband with both hands behind his back. He started explaining his lateness by saying, "Happy Valentine's Day. I wanted to buy you roses, but I only had $1, so I got you these." From behind his back, he pulled out 2 pink carnations. They were the most memorable flowers he ever gave me. Over the 53 years we have been married, he has given me beautiful roses many times, but the most memorable flowers he ever gave me were those 2 cute pink carnations. And then we have Betsy, whose love story took a turn that no one could have predicted. Paul, my partner of 41 years, and I were eating out at one of our favorite restaurants. Little did we realize that this was to be our last meal out for a long, long time. We had been discussing marriage on and off, and the pandemic added new urgency to the discussion. Finally, Paul looked over at me and asked, "Are you asking me to marry you?" So I did, and he said yes. Then he said he had been waiting a long, long time for me to ask. 2 months later, as everything closed and gatherings were banned, we held a Zoom wedding. Valentine's Day is now extra special as our engagement day. Family, the people who know us best and love us most. So grab a cozy blanket, maybe a tissue or 2, and settle in as we share tales of Tanya, Shani, and Marie, each celebrating Valentine's Day with a family twist that's sure to tug at your heartstrings. I'm not sure when we first started doing it, but come rain, hail, or shine, I I spend every Valentine's Day with my mother. Now, let's talk about Shani and the Valentine's Day that glittered with the gold of a father's love. When she was little, her dad gifted her and her sister gold heart-shaped lockets, along with the biggest chocolate ballet shoes you could imagine. These weren't just gifts, they were symbols of a father's love. And we can't forget about Marie, whose Valentine's story takes us to a dinner table dressed for two. But this wasn't a date with a mystery man. It was with her 12-year-old son, dressed to the nines in a suit and bearing roses and chocolates. There they sat among couples with a love so vast and deep, it filled the room. This story isn't just a tale of a dinner. It's a celebration of the sacrifices, the hard work, and the boundless love that single parents pour into their children. Hey there! Love comes in many shapes and sizes, and sometimes the best kind comes from our best friends. First up, we have Nina. I actually can't remember what year it's from, but I still have the handmade card my best friend made me in primary school some 20 years ago. It was kind of a big deal that we were the only ones not making them for someone we have a crush on, but hey, ours is the only relationship that lasted. Moving on to Tiff, the queen of themes and the master of memories. She turned Valentine's Day into an ode to sisterhood with a Galentine's Day bash that was all shades of pink and every bit as fabulous as you'd imagine. She and her closest friends celebrated the power of female friendship. And let's not forget Gretchen, whose post-breakup blues turned into an impromptu Mardi Gras of the heart, thanks to her fearless friends. They whisked her away to New Orleans, where the music never stops and the spirits always lift you higher.